We are going to see the ureters in this video. The ureters are paired tubular structures that convey urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. They are lined with transitional epithelium, otherwise known as urothelium. It is an impervious layer that lines the urinary excretory passages from the renal calyces through the urethra. The ability of this epithelium to become thinner and flatter allows all of these passages to accommodate to distension by the urine. The epithelium rests on a dense collagenous lamina propria, which in turn rests on an inner longitudinal and an outer circular layer of smooth muscle. So this is a rough or histological proper section of the ureter, and this will be the lumen of the ureter. This will be the lining epithelium, and outer to that we have the muscular layer. A regular peristaltic contractions of this muscular layer contribute to the flow of urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. If we focus more on this diagram, this is, as you can see, it is a low power orientation micrograph, and this wall of the ureter consists of the mucosa, which is shown over here, and that the thickening of the mucosa is extended from here to here, and outer muscularis layer that is shown over here, then an adventitia which is shown in the upper region. You have to note that the ureters are located behind the peritoneum of the abdominal cavity in their course to the bladder. Thus, a serosa layer that is over here may be found covering a portion of the circumference of the tube. And also because of contraction of the smooth muscle of the muscularis, the luminal surface, which is clearly visible over here, it is characteristically folded, thus creating a star-shaped lumen. Next, we will see a higher magnification diagram of this rectangular shaped region. Here it is. Now you can see the layers of the wall better. The wall of the ureter consists of, you can see the mucosa over here in the upper part, muscularis layer, and the adventitia. One can immediately recognize the thick epithelial lining which is over here, which appears distinct and sharply delineated from the remainder of the cell. This is the transitional epithelium which is shown over here. All this is the transitional epithelium. The remainder of the wall is made up of connective tissue and smooth muscle. We have already know that. The latter can be recognized as the dark staining layer. The section also shows some adipose tissue which is denoted as AT over here. These vacant appearing regions, and it is a component of the adventitia. The transitional epithelium and its surrounding connective tissue constitute the mucosa. A distinct submucosa it is not present, although the term is sometimes applied to the connective tissue that is closest to the layer. The muscularis layer, it is arranged as an inner longitudinal layer. You can clearly see the sectioning through the inner longitudinal layer over here, and sometimes a middle circular layer and an outer longitudinal layer. But most often the outer longitudinal layer is present only at the lower end of the ureter. So generally it will consist of inner longitudinal layer and an outer circular layer. In a cross section through the ureter, the inner and outer smooth muscle layers are cut in cross section, whereas the middle circular layer of the muscle cells is cut longitudinally. That's why there is the characteristic appearance in the figure. Now we are going to focus over this area to get a better understanding. This figure shows the inner longitudinal muscular layer at a higher magnification. We can clearly see that over here. And note that the nuclei appearing in the round profiles indicating that the muscle cells have been cross-sectioned. This figure also shows the transitional epithelium over here, and the surface cells of the transitional epithelium or the urothelium are characteristically the largest over here. You can see the largest cells, and some are binucleate also, which is shown over here, these cells. The basal cells are the smallest, and typically the nuclei appear crowded because of the minimal cytoplasm of each cell. And the intermediate cell over here, they appear to consist of several layers and are composed of cells larger in size than the basal cells but smaller than the surface cells. So that was in general about the histology of ureter.